This is Clinical Supervision Part 2, and I want to talk a little bit about what I learnt from it. The thing that struck me was the power of taking the notes and collecting data in a systematic fashion and writing everything I could down as I was looking at what was going on. And that proved to be very powerful because when I'd finished the lesson, I would often think, well, I'm not sure what I make of this. It worked all right, but when you look at the notes, on every occasion I found is that there were some themes that popped out which were worth following up with the teacher. And one might have noticed, for example, that say student attentiveness. So one would say, rather than put a note down, a lot of students not listening, one would look around and you could say, 10 students appeared to be, were disengaged or were looking out the window or something like that, so that you quantify your observations, and that proved very valuable. A second lesson that was very powerful is that the conversation with the teacher was much, much better when you had the notes to base the conversation on. So you could, the supervisor was leading the conversation certainly to some extent, but as much as possible you could keep quiet and let the data speak for itself. And that's a very powerful lesson which applies. I think doing it on a regular basis clearly didn't work because the time pressure on both parties was huge. But it does suggest to me that using this approach when there's a specific thing to be looked for and observed for was very valuable. And I know there are some big programs going on in the world today where people are using video to make this process much more efficient. So you can put a video camera in a room quite cheaply and record everything going on, and that can mean that one person can skip through the video, or you can look at the visual data is more powerful than the notes. So I think the big lessons that came out of it was getting as objective information as possible was very valuable. Having the conversation on an equal basis was very valuable. I think it can be really useful when there's a particular aspect of the lesson that the teacher and the supervisor want to pay attention to. So you do it when there's a specific need and not just as a routine process.